Welcome to the very first episode of Digging Deep with Neil and D. We are passionate champions of sales, marketing, but we like to play. No, I know Darren for a long time. We absolutely love to play. And golf, golf is something that Darren, if you don't know Darren, I'll give you a little background, but our first episode here is sales and golf, but he is a sales expert. He is a marketing expert. He is a software and service expert. He's worked for companies like Realtor.com, Move Inc. He was one of the top salespeople at a company called Curator. That's where he and I met. And, last but not least, he is now a real estate agent for EXP. Everyone give it up for Darren Franzen. He's been a friend of mine for now going on more than 7 years now. Maybe that's just a lucky number. We finally have done our first episode, but this show, this movement we want to build, we feel like we're not outnumbered. We feel like there's people who feel just like us. They're passionate about sales and marketing, but also playing healthily. We feel like we've evolved over the years. We found there's a better way to play, and golf is something I just recently picked up. So Darren, tell me, you've been in sales for longer than I have. I've much longer. I've only been in this now game for just about 10 years. But tell me a little bit about your sales career. Tell me a little bit about what you've done in sales, beginning, middle, and end, and give me a little bit a snapshot of what that looks like.
Well, first of all, Neil, I'm older than you. So for me to, just for some context, I'm going to have more experience because I'm just, what am I, 10 years older? I'm 48. How old are you?
May I say 35? Yeah, 35.
So, that's our demographic. I think you're short on the 7 years. I think it might be like 8 or 9 years we've been friends. And I want to really point that out. First and foremost, we are friends, and we would not be here today if we weren't friends. And collaboration in business, I think, is sometimes not achieved because there's a competing thing. Now, you and I did compete at Curator, but it helped everybody. And we remained friends through the whole process, through the whole thing. And here we are today. Yeah. Collaborating. So yeah, buddy, I am excited to continue to grow our friendship and then basically get a lot of our conversations that we have had anyway out into the world. So you asked me about sales. It's a pretty easy synopsis. Of course, part of the premise here is the digging deep part. So in future episodes, I'll go into the depths of maybe why my dad got me into sales and why the psychology behind sales, like why was I good? Why am I good at sales? And I can go ahead and say that confidently because results and numbers speak for themselves. This is not what I think. This is just, this is a numbers game. So I can look back on, I was in the restaurant industry, Neil, and you want to talk about playing. Oh my God.
Right.
I would work hard and play harder than maybe anybody. I was working 3 restaurant jobs. I got Chili's over here. I got the white tablecloth over here. I got the Sunday brunch place over here. I'm working like 3 restaurants, just basically getting confused on what shift I'm supposed to be at, what apron I'm supposed to be wearing. And I was just really in the depths of this restaurant industry, killing it, bartending, serving, doing all this stuff, making tons of money, but playing a lot.
Well, let me take a swing at that. I got a quick question. How does that relate? It's so funny. You talk about being in the restaurant industry. I think all Americans probably at some point, I'm sure everyone watching this today, maybe at some point you've been in the restaurant industry, but I got started at a place called Goat Star here locally in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that was my first job as I was, entering engineering school back in the day, more than 18 years ago. I feel it. It's been 18 years ago, but that service, I remember service mentality, serving others, service. I was a cashier and a server. I was a waiter.
Yes.
That was my role. I wasn't a cook. They didn't let me in the kitchen, Darren. They didn't let me in the kitchen.
Me neither.
I wasn't allowed to step foot in there. They're like, no, we need that face. At the time, I was 20 years, 18 years old, look like Wayne Brady, right? So they wanted me front of the kitchen, smiling, but no dialing yet because I wasn't in sales yet. But tell me, how was that a foundation for you in sales, that service mentality? How did that help you?
Well, it's a people business. You know, the food and the ambiance and all of that, it comes after the service. So the whole idea is to basically treat people like they want to be treated in a very microcosm, like an hour, 90 minutes of their life. And how can you pull that off? How can you earn trust and make people actually take their guard down and feel relaxed and enjoy their dinner? You're not even sure if the food's going to be good when it comes out. So you're actually setting the precedence on this. And I just like was enthralled with it. But I'll tell you what happened. I always said that, like, after about a year working in the restaurant business, I was like, man, this should be a prerequisite for life. There are so many hard knocks. There are so many learning moments of life. Maybe, this family comes in and you work your ass off and you serve them and you're on time and the food was good. And then they don't tip you very good. And you take it personally. Well, you learn that it might not have been you, that you learn to take things as they come, and you'll have good days and bad days. But I'll tell you what, my dad saw what was about to happen. I was about to get in. My dad saw that I was about to get into restaurant management. And he saw how well I was doing with people, basically. And I think my dad probably saw this when I was a kid, because I just really love people and I love to play and I love to dig deep and I love to have these very unfiltered conversations with people, just learning about.
And your dad, what did he do? I mean, like, okay, so you're entering the upper echelon leadership. I mean, so now you've been a soldier in the game, right? You're in the soldier, you're grinding, you're learning, you're getting better every step of the way. And now you have an opportunity to move up a step. And your dad says, hold on, stop. What happens next?
Yep. What happens next is my dad basically leading by example. My dad was a career salesman. My dad was a career sales professional that retired handsomely from selling a very commodity. My dad
making it rain over there. I love it.
My dad was the epitome of a sales professional, and I emulated everything I did off of his career, because my dad owned his time. My dad always valued time over money. So I'm like,
What's your dad's name? What's his name? What's your dad's name? What's his first name?
Victor. His first name is Victor.
Oh, walking in victory. That's that's what I'm talking about. You emulating Victor. You're emulating victory. No wonder he was so successful with selling. I mean, that's power in that name. Woo! All right. Sorry, I had how I am with names. I had to know that name. Cool.
And I love it because my dad actually he goes by his middle name. He did, like, Kent was his name on his business card, but his friends, his real close buddies know him as Vic. Like, that's Victor. That and so what happened, Neil, was my dad, he knew that I was ready to taste money. He knew I was making decent money in restaurants, but he knew that if I tasted it and if I put a shirt and tie on and I went out and I talked to engineers and buyers and CEOs of startups, he knew that if I got a little taste of it. So what he did is he literally just, like, pulled me out of the restaurant business.
And that reminds me of, like, some of my favorite cartoons back in the day. He just, like, stage left, you're getting off the stage to a new stage, to another level, to another industry, to a higher grade of pay, whole grade of, like, it's like going from being enlisted, to now you're an officer in a different kind of commission journey, right?
That's it.
Nothing guaranteed. It's all faith, right? It's all faith-based commission sales. I mean, if I take a quick swing at this, so it sounds like what he's trying to take you is say, you know what? You're doing well here, but that was your training ground. But to put the way that I got victory for you is I got it in sales. So he got you. He put you. He said, "You need a whole another, same level, but let's get you a different track. It's a whole different. It's a different lane."
That's it.
Sounds
He's
like.
watching. He's watching, and he picked the right time to say, "Are you ready to enter into a professional career?" And I think I was 21 years old, and really, Neil, I still wanted to play. And I think my dad realized, like, you can still play. You'll just have to tone it down over here, step it up over here, and let's see how it goes. Now, my dad was actually putting his name on the line because my godfather started this company. My godfather, Oliver Flash, started this company called Bay Area Labels in his garage. He literally started I
got a label right here. Labels. That kind of label? What kind of labels? What kind of label?
Well, basically for the electronics industry. So if you were to look at any piece of networking equipment or any router or any switch, anything that has it's really like a plastic sticker. It's called a front panel overlay. It's a subsurface printed, it's an actual part that gets spec'd in as like a build, like we're actually part of the supply chain because they can't ship their product without our label. So it's everything, Neil. It's from like literally I could just start looking around on my printer and look at, I see like 7 labels. Now they're done well, so you don't really see them. They're embedded, they're matching the texture and the color of the background. So yeah, this is.
I can tell you sold that. I can see that passion. I can see you definitely now know your product. There's some good salespeople and there's some bad salespeople. And if you're getting started in sales, one of the things you may realize is sometimes maybe you get started, you don't know the product. But you just gave me a flash, Darren, because as you're talking about this is, I got into sales, after I got into service, as we're taking you're in the restaurant business, now you're selling labels. I did something very similar, where I was leaving engineering though. So I got into service, then I got into engineering, as I said earlier, but then I got into sales, but I learned the technology. I was selling technology. So you're selling labeling technology. So you're selling labeling technology, get from service. Now you're selling labels. It's something about labels. I can go all on labels, man. There's so many labels in America. We got labels, right? Yep. But you're using labels as a mechanism. You're in the chain, right? Here during COVID, we know all about that. The power of the label. You can't get the label. You can't get anything else. Darren will tell you all about that. So, you're at Amazon. You need labels, right? You need labels. How does that connect to the restaurant industry? Because I'm curious about this. If I'm at some of my favorite restaurants here in Cincinnati, there's a steak place called Jeff Ruby's. So funny, a quick story about that night. When I got into sales, I was with this group of bankers. Some people I worked with in sales, my first sales career. I get to this restaurant I've never been in. I never been into a very high prestigious steak restaurant because I couldn't afford to as a young man when I was an engineer. Too much debt, too much whatever. But I got to this restaurant. The guy, he thinks, so I tell him I'm Wayne Brady. He pulls me into the restaurant, right? He pulls me into the restaurant and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Brady." And I don't hear my friends. Here I am. This has gone too far. The band stops. There's this band. They're great. They're crushing it. All the patrons, they all look nice. I'm here with my buddies, and you gave me a flashback. But literally in that moment, it's like, so sales is not that way. Sales is a line, right? So how do you sell labels? Because I'm just curious. I wasn't trying to I was trying to be funny. I use that all the time on Wayne Brady. But I had to tell him, kind of put a bow on that. I had to tell him, I'm not Wayne Brady. He ended up treating me to free dinner. It was great. It was great. And he said, "Oh, you got to get out of here." He's being playful, and then
yep.
And then getting free dinner was great. But tell me, how does that connect? How does that scale up? You're in the restaurant now. You're selling stickers.
Yep.
Woo, that sounds great. You're selling stickers. Okay, how do you sell it? What was the methodology? Because we met through in the marketing world, Facebook, email, website, landing page. But how did you sell stickers? Because I'm not sure. I've never seen a stickers landing page. No one's gonna try to sell me stickers.
Right. So here's the thing. I love that I sold a commodity that could almost be ordered out of a catalog, because these engineers would spec out the label. They would put the Pantone colors. They would put the dimensions and the thickness and the adhesive and the texture. They would spec it out. So where we came in was quality. Okay, quality number one, because if the color doesn't match, then they don't want to ship their product. If the thickness doesn't match the recess, and if it doesn't fit into the little recess at 20 milligrams, I mean, Neil, I was using calipers. And dealing with like really tight tolerances, so like it wasn't just like spitting out a label, it was spitting out an absolute perfect sticker. Okay. So what ended up happening, and this is for anybody getting new into sales, because man, there is a lot of crappy products and there's a lot of crappy services. And if you're on the other end of that, here's my advice: slow down, because you may want to find if you may turn around and all of a sudden you have an 8-year sales career with this company that's hard to sell for, because their product is actually not as great as it should be. So I was so blessed. Okay. So blessed. Okay. I was so blessed. And think about working for Curator, quality. So if you're a salesperson getting it, I mean, think about Move Inc., the brand, quality, right? Like we're the top of the mountain. Go into Google and search homes for sale. Boom, realtor.com. So quality I was so blessed to represent a product that focused on quality, because I could go out as a sales professional and focus on quality. And I knew that I could beat my competition because they were failing at quality. They weren't holding the tight tolerances. They weren't matching the colors. They weren't delivering on time. They weren't backing up their shit. So when I came in, my godfather and my dad and the passion. I mean, you want to talk about passion through the.
Hey, that's my name. Hey, you can Google that. You can Google Neil. That's my name. Passion. That's my. If I seem a little too enthusiastic, we just embodying passion. That's what we do. Great salespeople embody it. So you're packaging them, you're passion. So you're solving a problem. So you identify, as I'm listening to, you identified a problem in your industry where there was a lack of quality. Yeah. That is huge. That was the opportunity, if I'm hearing this right. Okay, all right. So for the audience here, he's identifying the problem, and nobody told Darren the problem. That's what's so cool about this. It's Darren. He's telling us about this story about his experience, how to interrupt him and take a swing at it, because it's very important what he just said that you may have missed. He identified a problem that someone who has a book of business, they didn't identify. And it's about a relationship. So he's caring. He's got that spirit of caring, that passion of caring, and he feels blessed in the role. So he's energized and he's trying to identify. He's trying to identify like an eagle, right? He's up here. He's trying to scout out, okay, my prey, where can I have an impact on this business? Boom, you found that problem. So tell me about that quality. Tell us a little bit more about that component of it.
Well,
about that part of your experience.
You just said it. The passion is directly correlated to the quality, because if I don't have a quality product, I'm like bullshitting the passion. And that's where salespeople, it gets so weird, because they're so excited and they're trying to do it with enthusiasm. And by the way, there's a lot of coaches that'll tell you can almost win with enthusiasm. And in my opinion, you need a little bit more to the equation than enthusiasm. It's important, but you better have a quality product, and the passion better be about the quality of actually helping someone. This is why I asked my dad. I said, Dad, how do I do this? Go help people. Oh, how do I do that? Go ask them. Mother, like so easy, right? Go ask the buyer, what do you need help with? Go ask the engineer, what do you need help with? Go ask the dude that actually like deals with the material out in the field. Like, what do you need help? So we're not in sales, we're in help.
We'll break that apart, because ultimately, here's what I found. I remember working for an underwriter, and working for a national underwriter, there's problems is that sometimes people don't want to tell you their problems. So what was your methodology to gain trust? Because part of it is we need to identify the problem, right? We identify the problem. And then we need to build trust so they are actually open-minded to actually tell us. So give me some of the gold, Darren. Give me some of the gold. You got this engineer. He may be an introvert. He may not even like talking to you. I could tell you when I was in engineering, it was Dave Ricketts and Phil Levins, a Jewish guy and a Christian guy. They placed me with. These are my engineering mentors, right? And they're different. Their personalities sometimes they're different. I remember Phil. I'd be out of my seat talking, just like I am right now. So I ended up in sales. I like to be out of my seat at trade shows, in the aisles. But tell us, it's not just about identifying the problem, but how do you convince them? You don't know them. They don't know you.
Yep.
What are the steps to get them to actually give you the problem? Because that's sometimes the problem in itself. They'll tell you, oh, I don't have one. Right? They'll brush you off. So what's the key to building that trust where they're actually willing to give the problem, the real problem?
Yeah, you're allowing me to go into places where I'm going to get a little philosophical because you have to with this. We've already said it. Digging deep is the premise. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk to a buyer, and she's going to be used to these very vanilla questions, but she's not really going to be used to, hey, Susie, how many siblings do you have? She hasn't even heard the word siblings lately, in the last 10, whatever years. And then I'm silent. I need an answer. Oh, I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister. Oh, so you're like in the middle. Are you close with your brothers? Oh, my one brother, he's in the military, and the other one, actually close with one. And then the one, military, what branch? Go. And the reason is because I'm building the relationship. I'm actually caring about the person and asking questions and going so deep. Now, what you referred to is the person that's silent and they're like got their back to me in their cubicle, like they don't even want to talk, right? Like, because we're dealing with everybody here. So let's go ahead and go worst case scenario. They're cold, they're introverted, they're an asshole. They're like, they got the reputation at the company, like, oh, wow, you got to go deal with Hank today. Good luck with that. So here's what it is, Neil. It is the challenge. It's the challenge of people. People don't want to be mean. People don't want to not talk. People like to talk. They just need an opportunity. So I really look at people, and I know you do too. I've seen you in a room we'll show up at a conference, and like all of a sudden we open up the room and it's like all these people, like, where do I start? It's like, I just want to start talking to people and laughing and making people feel comfortable. I really enjoy helping people feel comfortable in their own skin. I've been blessed to feel very comfortable in my own skin. I've done things as a kid to build my own confidence, and we'll get into that later through sports. And I had some really awesome achievements as a kid that molded my confidence and my comfort level in my own skin in any situation, pretty much, unless I'm threatened or whatever. And then, I'll just run, fight or flight. I'll just run. I don't need to fight anybody. Go. So that's one of my claim to fames. I've never been in a fist fight. I've never, ever had a one-on-one standoff with another human being, because I just feel like it's a lose-lose situation.
It is a lose-lose situation. Yeah.
How am I gonna win this fight? Not get in one. Watch this. And I've been close. You can imagine, with my bravado and a couple drinks, and next thing you know, D's over there talking this and kind of annoy somebody. You can see it happening, right? So I've been in situations where I've been very, very close, but it has never, ever escalated to that point. So I look at people as a challenge that I'm going to go and enrich and enhance their life. And I know it sounds so philosophical, but if I take that every single day, we used to go out, sometimes make like 8 or 9 calls. And when I say calls, different buildings that you would go to, and you would talk to you would have appointments. Sometimes you would just pop in and drop off prints or pick up prints or drop off a proof or a tooling thing or something, right? So very quick appointments. Sometimes I'd go to 35 appointments. Sometimes you want to talk about making a lot of sales calls in one day. And I'm not talking phone. I'm talking in person over 30 different buildings in one day. That is pushing so hard and wanting to do so well, because my dad was with this company already and he's the number one sales guy. We had about a team of like 12 or 14 sales reps. So here comes Darren at 21 years old. Everybody's older than me. My dad's the number one rep. My godfather owns the company. So everybody kind of thought I was getting a silver spoon, but my godfather did the opposite. He gave me nothing. He gave me a territory that wasn't producing any passive residual business at all. So he gave me the challenge of building up a territory that wasn't doing nothing. And I took that nothing territory to some crazy numbers, over $300,000 a month in residual income from just building relationships, caring, helping, and taking on the challenge of people every day. So it's a mindset. So if I really tell you,
hey Darren, it's so funny. You took the words out of my mouth. It sounds like, okay, in order to get, so this sales framework, this is the victory of sales. I'm calling it that because this is what Victor was trying to impose upon you as you came out of the restaurant business into this new role selling labels. And the victory sale is number one, the mindset, and then adding some passion to identify and solve the problem, but then using the gift that you have. So again, living in your gift, where you can then be people focused to have a conversation, digging deep into who they are, what they are, so you can make a genuine connection about the person, because the sale hasn't had yet. So, but this is the victory framework, because you're trying to get victory. Because ultimately, what they're trying to say, this is going to lead to some business. This is going to get to more income. This is going to get to the dollars. This is going to get to that foundation, so you go from zero to infinite wealth. That's the foundation that this victory of sales that
I'll give you
that Darren has given us today.
I'll give you the example. Okay. I'll give you the exact example. I'm in a cubicle. Okay. These are the prints. These are all the label prints. These are all the orders. Let's say there's like 85 of them. Okay. And they're sitting there. I'm here. They're here. I want these. Okay. I'm in the cubicle. They're not in my hand yet. There's like 6 different vendors that this buyer could give these prints to, right? And I know that if I focus on these, I'm not going to get them. So I focus on the person. I want these, but I focus on the person, and I just go on the person. And then all of a sudden, these just slide their way over. The buyer just says, typically a gal who is just an absolute rock star in these companies, because the buyers have to deal with so many different vendors that they're the ones that, people are being shady to them because they're the buyers, like they're trying to take them to lunch. They're trying to give them, 49ers and Giants tickets.
They're schmoozing them.
We did that too. We did that too. We did that pretty well. But that was really the analogy, Neil. Here's what I want. And I just knew that if I focused on this person with passion, with kindness, that she would eventually take these prints and just slide them over to me. And it happened like 99% of the time. And usually it was someone else's business, because I was coming into a territory that we didn't have business in. So the engineer and the buyer's telling me how much of a headache it is to switch to me as a vendor. They're telling me how hard it is to respec somebody in. And Darren, this is going to be very challenging. I want to give you a shot, but we've been working with this XY company for 13, 15 years. And so what I'm going to do, Darren, is I'm just going to, out of the 85, I'm going to give you one and see how you do. And I learned and after they did that, I learned that, wait a second, I can ask for one. So I realized very quickly that, hey, test me out and just give me one print. Have me go through the process of manufacturing one front panel overlay for you. See if I deliver on time, check the quality, and we'll go from there.
So everyone, what you guys are hearing right now, you probably, if you go to your favorite website, something that you want to subscribe to, everyone that's watching this, you probably have already signed up for a free trial. What Darren is instituting, he uncovered a method to get a paid trial. He said, we're going to start off slow. He got a paid trial. He got one deal, but the deal's is not closed yet because he's got like maybe, if I'm thinking about this correctly, Darren, what you were trying to get is a certain percentage of the business. What you actually did right there is you actually got like, a percentage of the business, whether that's 0.1 or 1% or 10%, whatever that stack of papers was. You just got your first book. You just opened the book. Sometimes people are trying to go too deep in the book. You're trying to go to, if you get, this happens all the time, you get new into sales. You want to figure out, the method of the demo, right? The demo, whatever you're selling, you're trying to get and learn the demo. But in reality, it's these introduction components to a conversation that lead to a paid trial. Paid trial. Ooh, I love that. I never had an opportunity to do a paid trial. No, I take that back. No, when I worked for a national underwriter, about a year ago, or about 2 years ago, I got to taste of that. I got to see where you can get a percentage of the business, but we were capturing much more than like, anyway. So tell me about this. All right. So break this out. So what happens next? So now who delivers on that for you? Is there an engineer? Is there a onboarding? So you got the sticker, right? You got that, page one, of the 100-page book that you want.
Yep.
What happens? Who does it go to in that world? Who would it then go to? Is there an onboarding, an engineer? Who's the handoff? Because you're the quarterback.
The actual process. Yeah, the actual process. There's a whole. The first step is to get it into quoting. So we as a company will basically develop a quote for how much it's going to cost us to manufacture said sticker, and guaranteed. There's formulas on material cost and labor cost and all of that. And we were always about 90% of the time, we were a little bit more expensive because of quality. So we didn't really care about coming in a little bit more expensive because you're talking about a $2.80 sticker or $3.05, it might be 25-cent difference, but when you're ordering tens and thousands of them, it adds up. So the process really is get this thing quoted, then get the purchase order, get the PO, right? Get the actual order. And then this thing goes through manufacturing like clockwork. The way my godfather had this set up, it's just from department to department, art department. And then that gets proofed back to the engineer. The engineer does the proof, and then it goes from the art department to the screen, and then they start making the films, and then it goes to this, and then it gets cut, and then it gets rewound and quality control, and then it gets packaged. So I mean, there might be, depending on the label and the advancement of it, there might be like 5 departments or 7, 8, 9, 10 departments that this thing goes through, and then finally I get pinged that hey, I got a beeper, Neil. I mean, I had a freaking beeper.
A beeper? Oh, okay. All right.
So I'll tell you, I had the beeper that I had. The beeper that I had.
That's cool. I'm not gonna knock it. It's cool.
But listen, the beeper actually had text. So I had an inside salesperson that could basically beat me with a message. So this is like texting before texting, right? So my inside salesperson would text me, hey, Finisar's little labor laser Kapton things are ready and shipping. So I would be like in Foster City or somewhere in the peninsula, somewhere in Northern Cal, and basically get pinged that my labels are ready for whoever I made a promise to. And then here it is. I would hand deliver these things. I could have shipping ship it, and it would show up to their shipping dock, and then somebody would have to sign a packing slip, and then the little box would hopefully find its way to whoever needs it. But that's not the right way to do it, especially in the scenario that we're talking about with like the one opportunity. I hand deliver this box, and I check the label. I make sure it's 99%. It's amazing because we were an amazing company, but I would take it into the cubicle. And if they weren't there, I'm not just dropping these off. Like, I'm looking for this person to have this moment where they take the X-Acto knife and they open the seal and here's the packaging and they open it up and it's like
It's like Christmas. It's like donuts. You're not dropping off donuts, you're dropping off stickers.
And
my daughter loves to see. I think sometimes we as we get into our sales career, sometimes we get things a little bit complicated. But my daughters, I've got daughters. The youngest is, she's 15 months and 16 months actually, just as of last week. And she loves stickers. She had a sticker lesson. They said, Dad, just put a sticker on me. So I think it's so interesting how our passions from the time you're like a newborn to like an adult, we still need stickers. Something that's simple. So in sales, in selling stickers, selling labels, so important, the simplest things. But this whole process of securing a relationship, I mean, all of that to get to that part, because that's ultimately now with service, because that's what they're checking. That's what you said. He cut up the box and he's got the box. He looked at the stickers. Where's the quality at? That quality. Okay, all right. That's how you keep the business. It's not about the one deal. It's not about the sheet. Right now, it's like, okay, now I got to do this every single time. Now, because now you stepped into a different level of a relationship, because now there's trust. Woo! 1 and 1 makes trust, but it's actually it's 2 to 1. It's 5 to 1. It's 5 to 5. It's 10 to 10. Whatever the size of the company. What was the size of the company? Your granddad's company. How many people work there?
At the peak, there was almost 300 employees.
Wow. Okay. So at the peak, there's 300. So it's 300 to, so it's this is symbiosis relationship, in the manufacturing and being part of the entire chain. I mean, I've never had a role like this, so this is interesting. But one thing I also want to talk about, which is the inside sales team. Darren, my experience was rooted in inside sales. At least my first sales career, it got started in inside sales. So you're telling me, even in this world of labels and stickers, there is an inside sales team. What was the size of that team? What was the size of that team compared to the people that are out in the field? As far as size, paint that picture for me.
It's a great question. So when I was hired, my godfather knew to not just allow me to put a shirt and tie on and go out there and either fail or succeed. He knew better. And he also wanted me to gain the respect of the people in the art department and manufacturing throughout. So what he did is he said, hey, D, this is what you're going to do. For 1 year, you're going to work inside sales for Charlie Lid. Oh. And Charlie Lid was a really cool dude, one of the coolest dudes ever, musician. Like you want to just hang out with Charlie Lid on a beach with a guitar in Santa Cruz. Like, but Charlie was also a little bit of a flake, and my godfather knew that. He knew that I was going to be able to work with somebody that was a little bit difficult to work with because the guy would rather be on the beach with a guitar, but he knew that my personality and my organizational skills and the way I was going to be passionate about this was also going to help Charlie. So I worked as Charlie's inside salesperson. In about 8 months, I had the relationships through the phone to his clients that Charlie actually had to have knee surgery. And my godfather said, just swap it out. Charlie, you go have your knee surgery and we'll see you in 2 months. And Darren's got your territory now. So it wasn't my territory. I was basically, I was making money. I was still getting paid inside sales, but I was doing outside sales stuff in 8 months. So that lasted until Charlie's surgery. And then he came back, he took over his territory. And then I grew my wings and flew into my own territory and did my thing. So the inside sales at our peak, we had about 14 outside reps, and every single outside rep had an inside rep. Trip on this. My dad had 3 inside reps.
Got it.
My dad was so busy with Cisco and some of these clients that, and he was producing the kind of numbers. Let's just go ahead and say, Neil, to wrap your head around it, my dad would regularly sell $500,000 in stickers every single month.
And how many did you sell as an outside sales rep? Just give me a picture with the team, how does that compare to the outside team?
It's murdering everybody. I can tell you that we as a team would do 30 million, 35 million as a team for the month. But you know, that was through a lot of residual automatic repeat orders. So like if I did 200,000 in a month, that was a lot for me. And my dad's over here doing more than double. He was doing 500,000 and I was doing like 200,000. So most of the reps did about 100,000 to 150,000 a month. And I was doing like 250, 300 sometimes. You know, for a few years there, I was doing about 250,000, 300,000 every single month. And every once in a while, I'd beat my dad. Every once in a while, my dad would do like 320 and I would do like 325 in a month. And if you think of that, you know, that's a lot of product that you're shipping all over the world and really, really high quantity orders, because that's the goal. The goal is to get spec'd in. And then all of a sudden you start hearing about overseas manufacturing. And you're like, oh crap, they're going to take my label order overseas. But and they did, but it was our job to keep it spec'd in locally. And if you could build a relationship that deep, okay, and there's ways that I did this, which was really in sales. And now that I'm in real estate, I see how it's very similar to back then. You deal with so many people, but then the ones that you have common interests with, you have to dive deep into those real, tangible things that you share in common. Doesn't have to be golf. I started playing tennis with an engineer, this gal Joanna, because why not? You know, she was like a tennis player. That was like her thing, right? And I'm like, I'll play tennis with you. I'm an athlete. I don't know how to play, Joanna, but you tell me a time and a place and I'll have some tennis.
I heard like a date. So it's daytime with Darren. You know, so that sounds like a No, you know what's so funny over the weekend, Darren? It's so funny. Just actually, a couple weekends ago, I was with my brother-in-law, and I had my first time of golfing. You know, his, you know, my wife's niece. So my brother-in-law, he has a daughter, and she's dating this guy that came to golf with us as well. So it's my brother-in-law, you know, his daughter's boyfriend, and then there's you know, a family friend, and then there was a woman there. And it's so funny is he met my brother-in-law's daughter's boyfriend. He had a friend that he met through work, and they were golf buddies. Okay. And so there seems like there's some real power in creating a collaborative staff or partnership or friendship through golf. So how did you continue to build with her through golf? Was it just golf? Was it just a friendship? Because what I've seen, at least from my just one trip in golf, you know, first round of golf, 18 holes, it was fun, up and down, and I'm struggling. My swing is terrible. I forgot my golf shoes. I mean, it was raining, Darren. I mean, you be proud, because I was like, dude, Darren's been talking about golf for so long, and like all of a sudden, you know, we've been talking sales, but then like I finally got into golf. I finally got an opportunity to, you know, Christmas ago, about a year and a half ago. So Christmas 2019, my wife bought me golf clubs, but I never even used them. They didn't come out with a package. It was like a pair of Strata clubs. I don't know if that's good or bad. And I know we know people who own golf brands and that kind of stuff. So I was just like, oh man, I don't even know if this is good. I should have called Darren, but it was a gift. Okay, so it was a gift. So I'm just taking the gift. And it then took a year and a half just to even get on the course with these clubs. I forgot. I'm taking the plastic off. I'm in my car. I'm early. I'm the first one there. I'm taking all the plastic off. I was like, I haven't even used these. So this is good. And my first time, it's in the rain. Forgot my Nike golf shoes. You know they're Jordan. I was there. Awesome. I was ready to use them. My wife told me, she said, Neil, you can't wear those shoes. You can't actually wear the golf shoes. You got to wear your regular shoes. And I forgot them. I'm not used to taking two pairs of shoes with me in a long time. Because my shoes are basketball shoes anyway. So I'm just wearing it. Anyways, I'm just like, I was just terrible. But that failure, my daughters gave me the inspiration. My wife and my daughters, because I was like, I'm watching my daughters grow and they're failing, right? They're failing. To even bring it even closer to what we're talking about, my youngest daughter had a sticker. She was failing to get it to stick. I was like, oh, it won't stick. She was down here. Let me put the sticker on it. And I'm like, my daughters are failing every day. I got to fail for. I got to get in the rain, get in the mud, and I got to just go fail. Yep. And that's what sales is about. I mean, your journey, because you didn't give me the failure, but you did say, oh, you did do some inside sales. Aha, you jump skipped the story. Yeah. That failure over the phone, because that's the tried and true test of a salesperson, is on the phone, because that's the pain. That pain is how you're going to create growth. So as you're trying to resolve a pain, there's a pain in yourself as a salesperson. You got to solve that. You got to get better. You need more at bats. You need to work on your swing. So let's continue to swing at that, Darren. Let's swing on that. So you've now captured business. Then you got to go do more, right? That's the only thing about sales. Like, you can't even rest on that. You can't be like, okay, yeah, I got this deal, I can lean back, but it sounds like there's some residuals in there. Oh, that's good.
Here's the core of it is, if you talk to people enough and you dig deep enough, you're going to find similarities. It might be chess. It might be a friend of a friend that is an avid skydiver. You're not going to find these things out if you're not actually passionate and caring about people. I actually got called out one time from another sales rep. Remember, there was like 14, 15 of us. And
it's an army. Yeah.
And I was on the phone with this dude, and we were just laughing and having a conversation, and I had him on speakerphone, and so people around my cubicles could hear him, and he's laughing like he would laugh at his kid's 5-year-old, birthday party, just like cackling, this dude. And a couple people knew the engineer, and they'd never heard him laugh like that. And so he was opening up, and to me, it was normal. I get this guy to laugh like that. Woo. And it's really through the reality of focusing on people and actually liking people. Because I remember getting off the call, and I'm not going to name names, but my buddy was like, dude, how'd you get him to be like that? Why was he laughing like that? Or, that kind of thing. I said, you know what? I actually like people. This is not me waking up trying to like people. This is not me waking up like, oh man, fuck, I got to deal with like people. No, what you think you think I don't actually like people? Like, what's happening here? So I got very, I guess, lucky, blessed, whatever, as a kid to really, really enjoy people. And, when you incorporate that into sales, that is the beauty of it. You actually get to play with all these people, and you get to find all these similarities, and then the business comes. If you focus on people and their passions and how you can help them, you're gonna find similarities. I mean, it might be goldfish. It could just be anything. It could be technology. It could be hiking. It could be golf. Every once in a while, it would be golf. And now, how do you think I did with those relationships? I can name the engineers right now that I would get up at 5:30 in the morning and meet them over at Santa Clara Municipal. We'd be there at 6 a.m. and we would only play 9 holes because we both would go into work. Now, sometimes I'd go back home and watch some TV and make myself breakfast and do whatever I feel like doing, because I'm in sales, and that's we're going to get deeper into this, because sales does allow you, fortunately and unfortunately, to do whatever you want. Now, if you just don't do anything, it's not going to last for very long. But man, sometimes it'll last for like 8 months, a year, sometimes 2 years. I mean, I've seen salespeople do literally nothing and collect their salary. So if they can find a situation where they have a salary enough to pay their bills and they're not motivated by commission, that's an ugly spot, I think. I think that's so true.
you know, I'm blessed that my very first sales career was a company called Dot Loop, right?
Great company.
And I remember the interview. There's a guy, we don't. I wish I called him more because I'll never forget this moment because it was probably the most honest I've ever been in a interview.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about God, family, business. He said, Neil, you had all this background not related to tech sales, but I've been in tech, I've been in engineering, and I never forget it. And he said, Neil, why do you want to work here? I said, why do you think you'd be effective? He said, said for me, it's God, family, and business. I remember that thing. But then the second thing I told him I was like water. I remember this Bruce Lee thing. I was like, I'm like water, whatever you put me in. I've been an engineer. I've been, at that time there was another downturn, kind of like right now. I was experiencing. I was cleaning floors. I was the first job that humbled me. I was an engineer working as a co-op, making pretty good money even in school. And then all of a sudden the economy drops, steel industry is down, and all of a sudden now I'm cleaning floors. I don't know how I got there, cleaning floors for retirement homes. Mm-hmm. Then it ended up, I was like, this is not my calling. 4 months, I left that place and I was doing cable. And then I finally found Dot Loop. Oh my gosh, I was like, me up on the ladder. I'm doing cable. You should see me there. And I'm in the cold. I hate the cold. I'm not even a hands-on guy. I'm not a handy guy. Like, that's not my thing. But I did it.
Yep.
But then I found Dot Loop. But that's what got me this position. But then it was a customer service position. It was service. And actually, I had never done it. I'd never really done so. I've been up to that point. I haven't just serving myself. I've been serving myself. The career I was doing, I wasn't really living my passion. I was just doing, I was engineering for the money. But service, I got enough. They said, Neil, I want to get into sales. They said, Neil, you crush it at this, there'll be an opportunity. And there was, and I got a foundation in inside sales. I got a foundation in service. I learned the tech in a day. I remember, they kind of rolled out the red carpet even for the service person because they gave one of their top service people, he spent the entire day with me. His name is Stephen Peel. I'll never forget it. He spent the entire day with me, taught me tech, but that didn't mean you could still serve. Knowing the tech is one thing, but then to teach and serve someone, that's a whole nother framework. And perhaps for some salespeople, maybe they don't need to know how to do it. Maybe they don't need to know how to serve. They don't need the nuts and bolts. But for my brain to function, as a sales engineer, so you worked with a lot of engineers. Mm-hmm. That's so funny because we were maybe that's why we got along so well. And I wasn't a successful engineer. I did that role for a while, but that wasn't my passion. But when I got into sales, over the phone, helping people over the phone, that's where service rooted. I did that for 6 or 7 months, and then I got into sales, inside sales, and I'm pounding the phone. I remember my first sales coach. It was actually just another salesperson. It sounds like for you it was your granddad, but for me it was just the people in the company, and the people in the company. And there's this guy named Adam. I never forget it. And I was just like, man, he said, Neil, just keep pounding the phone, set appointments. So I worked for someone. So I didn't work for someone that was out in the field. I worked for someone that was right next to me in the trenches doing his demos, and I was setting appointments for him. I was setting 20 appointments a week. I'll never forget it. I was so excited, so passionate. But one thing I will never forget as well, as we're on this story, as I'm unpacking this, when I left service, they said, Neil, there was some fear happened. There's some real fear. They said, Neil, if you leave, your spot won't be here because I'm going to fill that spot. So if you don't succeed in sales, you may not even have a position at all in the company. It's a company I love too. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, and maybe you'd experienced this now, but these weren't family by blood, but we're in the trenches. We're in this culture, and there is this connection. I'm getting exactly like I wanted. Here I am in the sales, but to get it, I had to jump. I had a place that was semi-comfortable. I had to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to give up this comfortable salary like you're talking about, or you're going to go get a salary now, but now you got to add commission to it. And that's exactly, I think, for the best salespeople, you need that either no salary, because I've done that now in my career. I've had a salary. I think that is like the best, like a low salary, then plus commission. That is what creates explosion. That's what creates exponential wealth. That's what creates an uncapped motivation where you work nonstop. For me, I was working nonstop. So I was on the phones, but I wanted to work on Saturday because now I realized my income was how much I'm driving. And that's why my first round of golf, I was like, oh man, I should have been playing this long ago, because it is all you versus you. You may think you're competing with the other people, and perhaps you are, because if you do better, then you get the better leads and sales, and there's some competitiveness to that. But reality, you're just competing against yourself. And that's why it seems like you found at the very beginning of your career where it was like golf and sales all in one, and for me, golf has just really been a new journey. I remember going and hitting some balls, but no, playing around the golf is so different. Getting in the mud, getting in the rain, being rained on, and I don't think I've earned the right to party, because we were partying a little bit. I haven't earned that yet, Darren. I realized my first round of golf, just like my first opportunity in sales, I wasn't drinking and playing when I was in sales. Now I was on the phone. That's not, you have to earn that. And I realize now, actually, golly, Darren, golly, it's like, now I'm realizing why I got the opportunity months later to go to my first trade show, because then it was kind of a party, but it was work too. I remember I was with my friend Allison, and we were driving a DeLorean. So we did have some cool stuff at that one. I'm not gonna. We had some cool stuff. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just the team. But I was making calls on the drive down. It was like I was just on the phone. It was like when I was initially on the phone, it was fear because of my first trade show. I got my orders 2 days before I had to be there, and it was like, hey, we're gonna actually drive. It's too short a time to actually book you a flight. You're gonna have to drive down there. He drove a DeLorean. I'll never forget it. Suburban hauling a DeLorean, and I'm pounding the phones. I'm pounding the phones in the car. I remember that's actually probably a photo on Facebook of Allison. He took a photo of me, and at the time I didn't really care. I thought it was just documenting, because I didn't even understand marketing. I understand, don't create. You have to document. Then that's the creation aspect. But that memory of the fear. So I'm curious, because it sounds like not having a large salary creates enough fear for you to move. That there is the real power. There's power in overcoming that fear. You have to work. Then you have no cause. You're either going to lose, and as if you're a salesperson, you're already naturally competitive, but it's really competition against yourself. And when you create that mode of transportation, you remove the barriers for the salesperson to actually get lift off. You turn into a rocket ship. It literally, because this is so funny, because as I go through my own memory lane, there's so many stories that's happening. But I get the drive. We get to my first trade show. I was so afraid, Darren, when I finally got there. I sold my first deal as we were setting up the booth. So the marketing attracts people, but it still takes a salesperson, to close them. I closed them in 20, 30 minutes. I closed them now. We also had some other marketing. So I had an iPad. I was giving them you bought right there. I had an iPad. So I had a DeLorean. So I had a lot my first trade show. My first party, my first, Keller Williams. I'm going down there. I'm at family reunion. People so nice. They hug you. They hug you. It's so funny. They're talking about Brits. We I know you with the but they're fun. They fed me. And without that moment, Darren, as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about sales. I'm thinking about golf. It cannot be a party on the phone. It's pain. You have to get to the party. If you're partying on golf, you're listening, to music and you're drinking. It's a lot like in sales. Think about anything that you do, whether it's sales or golf. Like, don't do it with the party. I think fun is good, but you have to focus. You got to earn the right to have. You focus on the fun, and I think you can do both. You can be an expert and have fun, but you have to get in the trenches. You got to do the work.
Earn it. You said it. You're a light bulb's going off for me, because I actually use the same term when somebody asks me, like, because I lost some weight during COVID on purpose. I was gaining a little, actually. And then I'm like, dang, this just might go in the wrong direction. I might be over 200 pounds again. Because at my worst body type, I was like, I saw the scale. It was over 200 pounds. I'm 165 right now. So I started to realize during COVID, I got to earn these meals. If I'm actually gonna, COVID, and we're not going out, and I love supporting takeout. If I'm going to get this 2,000 calorie steak dinner, I need to earn it. So I need to exercise and sweat every day. I'm about 6 days a week right now, sweating. And, fortunately, I have a partner in my life that is very focused on health and earning, and we're eating well too. So I'm earning like the vegan nachos, you know what I mean? I'm earning like salmon patties, you know what I mean? So, but earning, Neil, that is such, I think for anybody that's new, of course, this kind of content is going to resonate with a lot of people. But if you're like just getting into sales, it seems like you've graduated to get the job. And I kind of did. I felt like I graduated from the restaurant business and put the shirt and tie on, the nice car, got the beeper, I shave every day, so you feel like you kind of walk the walk, but you haven't really earned any business. You've earned the opportunity. You've earned a graduation from your past, but that really doesn't mean anything until you actually get into the trenches in your new endeavor. And golf, the parallel is so right on, because golf is such a humbleizing sport. The minute you think you got this thing figured out, golf's going to let you know that you don't. The minute golf is like such a parallel to life. We always, my partner and I, my girlfriend, we always talk about like, don't strike me, God, I didn't mean, like we always sort of joke around, like don't strike me. I really am. Believe me, I'm focused, God. Okay. I was just joking around, and it's the same thing with feeling like you have this like newfound, right. Like you have this rite of passage because you put on a shirt and tie and you go out and you start acting in a way that backs up the stereotype. So I did it too. You did it too. So it takes some time to learn that you have to earn, and it's okay to say goodnight at 9:30 at night after one beer or no beers and drinking water, and people respect it. So if you're young and you're in your early 20s and you're getting into sales, and it's so tempting, life is just full of temptations. We'll probably have a whole episode on you'll have to give me some passages out of the Bible about temptation, because man, it doesn't stop. Temptation is just like here and there and in this forum and in this and this, and it really is tricky. Sales can be very tricky to want to walk the walk before you earn it. And in your early 20s or whenever you get into it, it's going to feel like you should stay up late and you should do this. And it's going to feel like you should, be that kind of person that kind of matches the stereotype. And it really, it is tough. I'm not going to say that just from reading something or learning from someone else's mistakes that it's going to be easy. That's not what this conversation is. It's more of like our experience realizing, wow, that earning process. And I guess people that I was connected to were a lot smarter than me, of course, because I still, my dad, rest in peace, I ask my dad questions all the time and I get answers. So I have my dad's wisdom, entering into this new real estate career that I feel like I'll probably have for about 10 years. I still ask my dad very simple questions about just, ways to handle certain situations, ways to talk to people, ways to ask questions. And I hear his voice, and that's me still learning and earning the right to ask that question, to call this person, to ask for that order, whatever it is. And so I'm still in the trenches of earning more opportunities. I can say I'm 25 plus years of sales experience, and I am absolutely in the trenches of learning and earning the right to have more opportunity right now.
Well, that is actually the true commission. See, what you're really talking about is not something to talk a lot about, which is the true commission of sales is the learning aspect, that you will constantly learn. And the more you learn, the more you earn. Now, the benefit of the right coach is if you find the right coach and the right product at the right time, you will earn more faster. And that's what everyone wants, right? Everyone actually wants faster, because I think a lot of people, what they gain through their relationships, if their family members weren't in sales, like Victor, Victor is in sales. He got you into sales, but not everyone has that. So what do? But you may have the tangibles. Maybe you're a people person. Probably heard that in your entire life. You're funny. You make people laugh. You know how to build relationships. You know how to build trust, and you utilize that trust where you don't break it. So you earn it. And you know how to keep it. Those are some of the simple foundations that, as a salesperson, you need. And then it comes down to some other things like your language, your communication, and your cadence and your tone. All that stuff matters because you're going to get put on the phone first, most likely. Some people, some industries, you're going to put you on the phone first, no matter what you do, even if you're going to be outside at some point and doing outside sales, just like Darren mentioned. But having a coach, it accelerates. It gives you 3x, 4x, 5x your income. So when I got into sales, I doubled my income. Like in 1 year, you double. But then over time, as you gain more, as I think about when I doubled, from that point that I doubled, I think about 2 years later, I doubled again. And then I doubled again. So the more you learn, you will continuously grow exponential. And so there's a cost to it, though. There's a cost to it. You're either going to do it, pay through time, you're going to pay through time, or you're going to pay someone to accelerate that growth. And I'll tell you, I had to learn over the phone. I remember getting 20 minutes of sales coaching because people won't give it away for free. Most people, they're not going to give it away for free. Like they may say, okay, you got to join me, join my staff. And that's what I did. I joined someone's staff and I spent time. And then I joined someone else's staff. But then I had, so you join the staff, or you collaborate, or you get coached. You collaborate with someone where you provide some value where they give it to you. But most people, no matter the industry, what I've seen, no matter if you're in the steel industry, the car industry, you're in the real estate industry, no matter what industry it is, a coach will set you free. You will set you free. And I guarantee you, it may feel like the pain of paying for the coaching up front is hurts, but it's going to accelerate your growth, especially much like Darren said, it's not once you pay for it. Now it's, okay, now that you have the coaching, now you need someone to help you stay accountable. So if you are capable of doing that yourself, fantastic. Maybe you have a partner like Darren mentioned. He's got someone to help him with his health. But you may need a sales partner. You may need a sales coach. So joining a team, building a staff, getting a coach. That's how you continue to pour gas on your own gifts and let someone explode it for you.
Yep. I would say being very careful about the product and service, because remember, you're a rep. So you're a representative of something or some service. So I'm the rep. What am I representing? Well, ultimately, like you've always said, Neil, you sell yourself, but you selling yourself is going to be fun until your product sucks or the service, then all of a sudden it's a reflection of you. So my advice would be slow down and find a product or service that you are actually confident about and passionate about and you believe in, so you can do all of these other great things. And it's not BS. And unfortunately, I'm talking a little bit in riddles because unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of salespeople that match that crappy product or service. And all I'm saying is, if you're somebody with the integrity, with this people skills, you've achieved things in life at a higher level and you want higher level, slow down at the beginning of your sales career and realize that the product and service that you rep is a reflection of you and you represent it. So if you're confident about it, it's just going to exude out of your pores and you're actually going to be able to talk like that. So I definitely feel like that is a big step in this whole process. I know for sure that traditional salespeople will eventually be gone. There will not be this middleman selling women's shoes at Nordstrom someday. I just don't see it. I don't know if it's going to be robots or whatever it's going to be, but there's a lot of sales jobs that are going to be gone because software is going to handle the transaction. Other concierge services are going to handle the transaction. So you're either in transactional sales or you're in relationship sales. And if you build the relationships, you don't even have to worry about the orders. So I would really look at like traditional salespeople, sales reps, sales people, not sales professionals, are going to go away eventually someday. You're going to have to bring value. You're going to have to entertain people. You're going to have to educate people. You're going to have to actually be in the depths with them and be their friend and be somebody that they can trust and call on the weekends and rely on. Way deeper than this superficial like where are my stickers, you know, like that all of that is the byproduct of an actual relationship. So it's a pretty deep topic, but really I feel like thousands and thousands of jobs are going to be going away. Car salesman, insurance salesman. I mean, what happens when all of the cars are self-driving? Do we even need insurance anymore? There's going to be so many.
I know what you mean there, and that's where it's some of you like Darren mentioned, he talked about quality, but let's say you're in a position right now, your career, well, maybe the company you join doesn't have a quality product. You don't have a quality product, because I think that's so important, because you may be in a situation where you have to take a sales role where the product isn't quite where you want it to be. And this happens sometimes in tech sales. Darren and I, we work for companies, software companies and help grow the revenue of those types of businesses and all sorts of businesses. And we've been connected to. But one of the things to keep in mind, one of the things, if you're not there yet, maybe the product isn't there. One of the foundations that you need is still service, even if you don't like the product. And what Darren is talking about, relationships, sometimes that if you just focus on the person and you focus on service, because your product may be junk, but those two things is a lot. That's like a big part of that equation. Yep. So practice on that, because your product, there might be someone's, some people will support you if they like you. So when Darren talked about selling yourself, sometimes people are like, okay, you know what? That product is better, but I like you. So I think it may support you, but they still might buy that other product. So let me talk about that. Okay. I know this kind of sounds weird, but they may buy the best, but they still may buy you. They may not. So if you're in that situation today where you wake up in the morning like, man, I like what I'm doing. I like sales, but I don't like the product. Maybe you work for someone. Maybe you want to work for yourself. Maybe no matter what it is, focus on service. Focus on the people work. Years ago, I followed two authors. They created a book called People Work. And for me, I remember sitting and hearing about that brand. And I remember being so passionate about the brand, but honestly, didn't have really enough experience to really put it together. But I started using it in my sales pitch. I remember, because a tech product, it may not be exactly what you want. And that's how it was when my first sales career. The tech product, I liked where it was, but there was room for it to grow. And what happens is, if you're there, you may be the product may not be there. Focus on service, focus on the culture you're in. If all that stuff is good and you like the people, stay there until the product's there. Because sometimes if you're in tech, golly, sometimes your product is junk. Sometimes you may not even have a product. But those three out of that four, if you got 75%, sometimes you got to go with that. But give 100%.
Yep.
In that role.
Yep. Well,
I just want to pass that before we got too far. Yep.
Not everybody is an A. I mean, you may be a B in the whole world of whether it's sales or whatever it is. And really, Neil, now that I think about this, whether it's a Toyota or a Tesla, I'm not saying that people don't need Toyotas. They need Toyotas. But when it comes to you being, and it may be the perfect fit for somebody. So your passion, you can be passionate about Toyotas. I get it. You can be completely entrenched into the relationships for people that buy Toyotas. What I'm saying is there's another level. So that's all it is. Yes, there are some crappy products, but typically those products don't have like sales teams behind them. So what I'm really referring to, almost like a personal passion. Do you even like cars to begin with? Should you even be looking at the car industry? Or did you just have some random conversation with somebody at lunch and his brother-in-law owns a car dealership, and next thing you know, it's like opportunity knocks? Just slow down. You know, there's sometimes a opportunity that comes, and that's the one that should inspire the thought of, oh, okay, well, maybe that's not a match for me, or maybe it is, right? So it really is, like you said, it's one of those things where if you focus on the right things, the product or the service almost doesn't matter, and that's going to play itself out. And if you're really that person that is passionate and true and honest and committed, and you show up on time and you answer your phone and all these great things that a professional does, you're going to elevate. God's going to take care of you. I mean, you know, let's just get philosophical about it. You're not even going to need to ask. You're just going to get elevated. You're going to graduate, and it's going to happen because life is going to do that for you. So one thought I had, Neil, you were talking about coaching, and we're not calling ourselves coaches yet. We're more of like just getting our passion out there. And I hope that this helps one person. I hope it resonates with one person that shares it with another person. But when you think about coaching, I had coaching very early on. Man, I was with some smart people. My godfather, who started the company and eventually sold this company, he just was like a real down-to-earth dude who knew how he's like a Phil Jackson. You know, you know, the
you know Phil? No, it's good. Yeah.
Coach of the Bulls, right? So, but what I know about Phil is that he was a master marionette. Like, he was the master of pulling this string and pushing over here and hitting this button, and he got the most out of every single player, whether it was Rodman or Jordan or Pippen or Cartwright or whoever it was. He figured, I don't know what he was doing, probably going to dinner with family members, probably writing handwritten notes, probably doing some crazy crap that I've never, ever heard of a human being influencing another human being, because Phil Jackson is Phil Jackson. But my godfather is similar like that. He was this guy that figured out a way to get the most out of his reps. And one thing he did for me is he sent me to coaching like on day one. And not everybody's heard of Dale Carnegie, but if you haven't, look up Dale Carnegie. And this is some old school sales, like back from the 80s. But basically, I went to like a 12-week Dale Carnegie sales course, and it was intense. I knew people. I love people. I can go, I got this. Give me the product. Go talk to some engineers. My dad already told me, just go help people. But there was a 12-week course. And after the Dale Carnegie course, I actually asked, like, is there more? Yeah, there's a Franklin Covey. There's a Franklin Covey 8-week course. You want to go through that? Yeah, let's go through the Franklin Covey course. So, and then after that, we went and saw Colin Powell and Oprah Winfrey and Bill Walsh, and we went like 5 of us. Hey, he was going to pay for all 12 of us to go, but 5 of us out of the 12 took all day and went to a stadium and watched all these speakers. This is like in 1995, listening to Bill Walsh and Oprah Winfrey and Colin Powell, and Zig Ziglar might even have keynoted this. The Zig Ziglar might have been a completely separate one, but look up Zig. I mean, these are names that can be your coach, is my point, Neil. You don't need us, right? You don't need to get sucked into some landing page and fill this out and $99 this. No. Okay. You go look up Dale Carnegie. You go look up Zig Ziglar. You go look up. This is not motivational speaking. This is not Tony Robbins. Okay. Tony's fine. Okay. You can take his stuff to the bank too. But when it comes to sales coaching, it exists and it's tried and true. And for those that think they're all that, and you were the Division I baseball player and you're the best looking guy and you're going to get into sales, and I'm telling you, coaching is where it's at, and it's important very, very early on in your career, because it sets up a lot of the standards of how you will run your business, because you become the CEO of your own business. Remember, I said you wake up, you're like, man, I can literally do whatever I want today. It gets weird. So, you do have to be careful with that opportunity. If your personality, it doesn't lend itself well to being able to do whatever you want every day, then you got to be careful with that. And we'll tell plenty of stories where I had so much extra time. I'd play golf, I would do healthy things. I would do my best to stay away from things that would be a detriment to my health or anything like that. But yeah, I wanted to really kind of bring that up about coaching, because I went through it. Even though I had mentorship, my dad and my godfather, they were mentors. They weren't my coaches. I could go to my dad and ask him any question, and he had an immediate answer, and it was the right one, like all the time. I remember saying to my dad one time, I like wanted to challenge him. You know what I mean? Like, Dad, you're so good. Like, let me challenge you with this. So there's a company I want to do business with, Dad. And that's what I said to him. I said, there's a company I want to do business with, and they're happy. Their products are delivered on time. They got 3 different vendors to choose from. They have deep relationships with all of them. They're not taking any new vendors. They're happy. So how do I get in there? How do I penetrate that steel curtain for this company? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's exactly what we've dug into today, Darren. That's what's so phenomenal is, as we let our guests go today, the final thoughts on this process, which is Darren laid the path quite clearly on how to do it effectively. For him, he had a very solid foundation. I think this is what he's mentioning is he had a, don't just bounce around in your sales career. Don't just take the first one. You really want to find, a place where they talk about coaching, and they're going to coach you in methods that are going to be highly effective. So that's important. But before the coaching, you need the mindset of helping others. I mean, that's really the core of it, success before you even get the coaching. Before any bit of coaching, that heart, that spirit, that passion, and the mindset of helping others is going to be a huge, going to be a quiver that you use again and again and again in your sales career. Second, a passion. That passion is going to help you uncover problems for people that you'll be able to see it. Though the world will open up, something you never saw before, but then your set of eyes, you're like, oh, I see that problem, because you have that spirit, that passion, that mindset of actually helping them. Once you begin to identify the problem, then it's like, okay, now I need to form a relationship and build a relationship effectively. That process in combination with your product and, of course, coaching, that is the framework. That's what you're going to be digging deep into every single day, every single week, every single year. When you wake up in the morning, you look in the stars for signs. That's the framework. When you look at your spouse and your partner, that's the framework. When you're eating at your favorite restaurant, that's the framework. That's how you're going to dig deep every single day, because you have that freedom. But with freedom, you got to get rid of idols. You got to get rid of the idols, right? You can do whatever you want. You can be idle. You're not going to work. You got to get rid of it. And you need to systematize. But again, what's going to get you up and go, to get up and go, to help you dig deep into this framework: mindset, your passion, the problem solving, product, and then more importantly, coaching to get better and better and better at it. That's what you're going to use to dig deep. That's what's going to help you successful, no matter what coaching you sign up for. You're going to have to be a student forever, and that mindset will help you continue to unlock, no matter where you are, every single day, to help you dig deep. Don't go to sleep. Dig deep. Don't go be idle. Don't be idle. Dig deep, because as a salesperson, we are commissioned to go out and have an impact, and that's what we're going to leave you with today. So thank you, everyone, for being a guest. If you like this content, just let us know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know, like it, love it, share it with your friends. If this has had an impact on one person, please let us know. Send us a message. Send us a DM. Help us fuel our fire if you feel like this has fueled you. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to let you go, Neil and Darren, digging deep, and we're going to do a lot more. Stay tuned.
Digging deep with Neil and D. That's the brand. So keep look on. I don't think we got the Facebook, the IG set up yet, but that's the fun of it. Digging deep with Neil and D.